would be near-death experience. And why I don't add this with trauma-induced astral projection is because in a near-death experience, if they are able to remember this, it's way more controlled in how you are able to experience that other dimension. You're able to communicate with your spirit guides. You're able to often, because our time is not the same as physical, like how because the astral plane of time is way different than our physical time. You could have a near-death experience and be out for 5 days, and then it's only been like your heart has stopped for about 10 seconds, but you have experienced an entire few days in the astral plane. There.
Question. So when you are actually looking right now, you guys experiencing a similar thing?
Yeah.
Where you could spend 5 days, 10 seconds.
Exactly. Yeah, I've heard people do years, they've spent lifetimes in a different experience and then came back and it's been like a night. Depends on your consciousness level, your, I guess, your ability or what's in your life plan and stuff like that, and your ability to maintain the memory coming back. The longer you are out of your physical body, the harder it is to remember things when you come back. Yeah, that's why when you're first starting, I recommend just like dipping your toe out and then coming back until you start progressing your ability to remember the experience when you come back.
So in the last Harry Potter movie, Voldemort kills Harry, he talks to Dumbledore, that's what's happening.
Talks to Dumbledore.
Like in the right train station, like in the between realms. So
Indeed.
he had an ND and then he talked to Judge Dumbledore.
Yeah. Exactly. And wait, wasn't that like it was like very gray and smoky? Was that the experience?
It was like a train station or something.
Yeah.
Train station.
So that's in the Matrix too.
Yeah.
You're stuck in the train station.
Yeah. Transitioning. It's more of a fun thing when you're exiting, when you're out of body, and everyone's experience is a little bit different based on their growth and how they learn and their current perception of reality. So the train station for Harry, it was probably a train station because that was his first experience of traveling to Hogwarts. It was his way of visualizing what his version of life after death was. It was his way of visualizing that transition. Yeah. So that will happen depending on. So trying to think of a good one. Obviously religions. So if someone were to astral project and they weren't putting focus on their mental aspect of understanding what the astral projection was, but if they were to just astral project not knowing what or anything about it, say someone was Christian faith, super hardcore Christian, when they astral project, they will see angels, demons, devils, gods, and then experience like a heavenly realm. Whereas if someone was of Hindu, they would see Krishna, and then same for Allah.
So I don't know if there's a way to actually answer this, but in that it's like seeing what we expect to see, which kind of goes along with the nature of reality, and like, yeah. But does that feel like it is a divine energy that's being interpreted by a person's awareness, or completely a person's awareness of like what is creating that, or is it a realm that's like kind of beyond our control?
I would like to understand. Can you rephrase that?
I feel like you're trying to say, like, is it like, it seems pretty subjective in this realm. So is it really coming from like our consciousness, or is it an external place that we are going and creating a subjective realm, or the realm that is tapping into our beliefs and creating it?
Or we're going to like different places and it's like it's all there somewhere, but we have to go. So like, what's there?
It's all there somewhere. We have to go there. There are. When we get to like the astral plane, we'll get to that in a second. When we get to like the astral plane, the higher dimensions, it's a consensus reality. There's like bubbles. You can look at it like there's a galaxy of different bubbles, and in that bubble, there's the ability to interact with the people of that consciousness perspective. But the consensus reality, but that is not what it is. It's what you currently perceive from being down here on Earth. So,
which is also consensus reality.
yeah, that's why I like to say like there's always light beyond the light at the end of the tunnel. So once you do get someone who isn't trained to actually travel in the astral projection, when they die, they experience what they believe is what is life after death. But someone can come and take that person from that experience and bring them into the truth of reality, and that you are able to experience way more of our multidimensional reality after you die. You're not stuck at the heaven realm just because you're dead, unless you want to be dead, unless you want to be suffering.
So there is like, so all of those subjective bubbles.
Yeah.
There is a true universe or bubble outside of those bubbles.
Yeah. Containing. Yeah. Gotcha. It's just for learning. Yeah. And then after the near-death experience, the fourth way of astral projection is, of course, the intentional astral projection. That's where you usually practice, where you can either, and then there's a few ways to actually initiate an astral projection. That's either through a deep state of relaxation through meditation. You don't have to be asleep when you astral project, but you can also have your mind asleep when you astral project. So you can, it's best and easiest for people who are starting out to do it in the morning. I never recommend you doing it at night. There's different energies at night. There's more opportunity for you to get stuck in these lower planes of the non-existence, which is the etheric realm, and it's just a bunch of energy that's reflecting of our current state of mind, our current state of reality on this planet. So when you project, you are in a reality where things are thought responsive, and there are other beings who are also interacting with you without your best intention or without your best interest in mind. It can be, not to say that it's impossible to project at night without having a bad experience, but it's like 1 out of 5 times you could probably run into someone or run into something or some being who is, their intention is to feed off of your energy without you knowing.
Define morning.
Huh?
Define morning.
Morning? Any daylight.
Any daylight.
Daylight. It's a reflective of our reality. So if there's daylight here, then there'll be daylight within the astral plane, in the lower realms, the etheric realm. Yeah. And one, it's safer for your mental, when you're first learning, it's safer for your mental ability, what you perceive as safety. Like humans perceive safety during the daytime. It's closer at night just because our reality. Yeah. Okay. And that's where when I first had my experience, it was through one, I was playing a lot of video games at the time. It's kind of like already disassociating from the physical body in that sense. But I was playing a lot of video games, and this one in particular called Cities of Heroes had a lot to do with telekinesis and you having characters that have the ability to start using superpowers and you know, would have dreams and lucid dreams about being in this video game with these powers and things like that. And then that's what kind of like made my awakening into like start looking up things about telekinesis and other forms of manipulating thought or manipulating the reality around us. And I came across a video of a Russian lady in 1969, 1970, during the Soviet Union. It was just a housewife, and her name was Nina Colangia. I'll remember. But it was footage of this housewife who was using her ability to use her electromagnetic energy to manipulate objects off of the table, like true telekinesis, by using the energy of her physical body. And this video was smuggled out of Russia by these Americans who were researching this phenomenon. And it worked, and she was able to do this. They would put glasses, like glass boxes over these things. But the thing that happened was she was using so much of her physical energy that it would take her 1-2 hours in order to prime herself and in order to gather enough energy and prana around herself to start moving these things on this table. And then it would take, like, after like 7 hours of recording, they said she would have lost like 3 pounds of body weight. Her heart rate went up, skyrocketed up to like 200 beats per minute, and her brain power was being used like 4 times its normal ability to use it. So this made me very intrigued. Like, if there's actually a way, of course, like, that wasn't sustainable, and she did die early because of the amount of pressure she was putting on her body. But that's what triggered me into doing a massive amount of research within astral projection and how to do it, or telekinesis, and telekinesis and pyrokinesis, psionics, learning how to connect to other people empathically and things like that. And through that practice and research of practicing like with like a telekinesis wheel and using my energy and putting more focus on using my, there's another word for it, but using my external energy, my auric field to manipulate matter in this sense, it raised my vibration enough to have a spontaneous astral projection. So another reason why I think kids have astral projections, because they have a higher vibration than adults do. And it's not that adults don't have a high vibration, it's more like the information that comes into our reality and our experience lowers our vibration, not really the other way around. It's like we get dampened by society as opposed to, because we are naturally always at a high vibrational state in order to be in this reality. So I did so much research that one night I was just, I think I was practicing, like I was already practicing trying to learn how to astral project, and I thought it didn't work, so I just fell asleep. And then out of nowhere, I started feeling something on my face. And then I could barely open my eyes, but when I did, my face was on the ceiling. And then I was like, the fuck? And so I intuitively turned around. I didn't know how to like control this aspect of myself. I just turned around. I was like, whoa, what the fuck is back there? And I saw my physical body. And then I like jerked myself awake. And that was like my first time having an astral projection experience intentionally. And that feeling of knowing that there is so much more to this physical reality is what drove me into learning and teaching in the first place, of knowing that there's like how much we've been lied to or misled about, how much of our history has been misled about, askew, dragons, giants, elves, any type of mystical creature, how much of that was actually real until we no longer put our focus and attention on it in order for it to like disappear from our perspective. So I am putting a lot of effort into bringing back that mysticism within our reality. The next one, actually the fourth way of experiencing an astral projection is through trauma. And that's because your consciousness disassociates from the physical body because it already knows how to astral project. Every time you go to sleep at night, you are actually astral projecting. So when and your consciousness remembers this, but it's not at the forefront of your consciousness. More like your subconscious remembers how to astral project. And when you're experiencing trauma, you, like you said, you pop out of your physical body. Sometimes by accident, sometimes by like, I know what's going to happen. I don't want to experience that. I'm not going to be here. And sometimes your consciousness does this for you. I have had two experiences before I even began practicing astral projection of trauma-related projections. The first was when I was a baby, like barely one and a half, 2 years old, and we were in a car accident, and the person basically was running from the cops, swerved around someone, and then sideswiped our car in the middle of the intersection. And I don't remember that experience at all, but I remember the color and shape of the car and looking down on it from above. I don't remember anything else from the experience except for that moment. And because it's very ingrained in my experience. The second time, foolishly, I was skateboarding in the middle of the rain for the first time down the birth ramp and not having any experience on a skateboard at all. This was obviously the best way to learn for myself how to have a trauma-induced astral projection. As the moment I hit the ground, I found myself looking down from the rain. I felt the rain dripping on my back, and I was looking down, and my friends picking me up and taking me to a water fountain. I blacked out before I hit the ground because my consciousness knew I was not going to enjoy that experience. I don't remember feeling anything. I don't remember anything of that incident. Then when I came to from the blackout, I was over the water fountain, dripping, tossing water on my face. And yeah, that's how quickly it can like come out. It's like, hey, you okay? All right, back in that sense. So yeah, trauma induced is often the one. Why would you want to learn astral projection? The main and most helpful reason to learn astral projection is to practice dying. And by that I mean when we die in the true physical death, when we physical die, and we are not aware that there's more to life than there's more to our afterlife than what we've been told or what we've learned. When we think that there's just nothing but a pearly gate, and then that's heaven, that's it. And when we think that there is nothing after death, and everything's just black and black, your body decomposed, and that's it. What your current perspective is of life is what you'll receive when you leave the physical body. And the reason why this is so important is that there's a tremendous amount of stories, and once you start projecting on a regular basis, you will start running into these types of people who have died, but they don't know that they've died. And they think they're still living in our current reality. They think they're still alive. And like no matter what you try to do to like wake them up from this, they refuse to believe it because they don't know that they're physically dead. This can happen as easily as someone walking into the street with headphones on and just listening to music, and a truck comes and slams them. Their physical body goes this way, but their astral body keeps walking. They don't know that they physically died. And they can become stuck in that sense of trappedness and think that there's no other way to exit because they haven't heard anything about this aspect of life or anything about that there's more to life than after life after death. So the main reason is to keep you from getting stuck in the astral plane after your physical death. And the easiest way to do that is to practice astral projection now and learning how to explore in the astral realm before you die. And this will make the fear of death go away, as well as we create a new fearless mind within your current perspective, within your current reality. Because you know there's more to life after death. You know there's more to your current perspective and reality